Okay, so I've cleared off all the top of the boxes, and now I'm going to start laying down my art, my resin art. I'm going to try and remember how they were laying so that when I put my color down, it's somewhat significant to the design. So here we go. Just crack at it. The fun part about doing the ocean art is there really is no wrong way to do it. If you find something on the beach and you want to incorporate it into doing a little box, you know, or even a wooden tray, a lot of people do that with resin. You can really customize it and personalize it that way. It's fairly cool to think, hey, you know, I actually, not only did I make that, but I found those elements at this such and such beach, either vacation spot or, you know, whatever the case was, which makes it even more special. The reason I like to do this is a lot of times those natural elements just simply remind you of something cool or a place you like. Not everybody can get to the places they liked at one point in time at all times, so I'll go right down the middle with this one. I'm still learning my camera positions, so hopefully everything comes out pretty clear. I'm trying. So I'm still covering all my edges as best as possible because I don't want to have that open exposed wood. And you really don't need a lot of this resin if you're doing a small piece yourself. What's cool is you could just go to your local craft store and get that resin kit, you know, something simple if you needed to. And then another thing with the elements, if you don't have access necessarily to going right up to the beach, you could always go to the dollar store and get sand and small rocks, big rocks, whatnot. Sometimes they'll even have shells and stuff too. When you're making your ocean design, you can kind of think of, well, one side will be a little dark, one side will be light. With me and using the driftwood pieces, some of them are fairly large, so if you were to find it on the edge of the ocean, you know, just kind of imagining it, what it would look like somewhat in the water, out of the water. I'll be adding sand and stuff to these elements as well. Just really kind of capture it the best I can and as realistic looking as possible. One thing I'm going to toy around with in the upcoming is making more of a just woods, like being out in the woods and having a little bit more of a green elements and still using wood, rocks, and some other stuff. I'm going to play around with it. Like for instance, on this piece, I have a bridge that I'm going to add to that. So my direction for my dark water, I kind of wanted to run right down the center of that. We'll see. Either way, it just takes me imagining that that's what it is. Doesn't have to be perfect. So with the resin here, I'm just using little cups where you can mix up. I've got 3 blues and 1 white, and then I have a little bit left over for my sand. So if for some reason when I go to sprinkle the sand element in, if I think it's just not looking thick enough, I can actually mix the sand in with the resin and coat it onto there that way. We'll see. I'm going to play with it, see how it goes. You could do either way. Okay, I'm going to grab a different blue. So with these different blues, I'm kind of just going to make some lines and let it do its thing. Swipe it together as I go. And then I think where I'll do my clear and sand is right where I'll plop the petrified wood, or, well, it's not petrified, I'm sorry, the driftwood. And that way it'll, once I smush it on there, it'll kind of spread out and you'll still see it around it. It'll be cool that way. Oops. I know everybody's got a little bit different of a technique. This is just such a small area that if I go too crazy, it's going to look more like a storm, if that makes any sense. Hopefully none of this is dripping down onto my table, that it would get onto my wood. Try not to waste. No one's perfect. I think I did the direction on this a little funny, but so a lot of times what I'm gonna do is do those final details of the wave and everything at the very end. Because I really don't need to. So here I'm going to mix in some sand with the resin. I really don't need to move it too much. It's going to kind of conglobulate, whatever that word is, together on its own. Let's see, a little bit more resin. I should have pre-mixed this. I was still kind of on the hook of, hadn't made up my mind of how I was going to do it. Okay, I like that. So I just kind of blob a little bit down, get it out to the edges. Luckily on this part, like it's the same color as the wood, so it's not a big deal. Most important part is that I have something for the wood to adhere itself down to, obviously, and all of the other elements that I add to this. So the white waves and everything, that'll be like almost the last thing that I do. I like to use real sand. It just kind of gives it that extra textured look once it's dry. It can be tricky to trim this edge, so just make sure that you don't get too heavy, but enough to cover it. There we go. Gonna need to mix just a little bit more of this sand. I don't think I have enough for the other side, but I haven't quite done all the blues yet either. The reason I do some of them on two sides is because I'm going to lay that piece of wood right across to the main part, so it just kind of brings the whole piece together. You'll see towards the end what I mean. Okay, let's go this side. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm gonna bring my white with me this time too. Okay, so I'll do this blue on this side now. It's getting pretty sticky. It's pretty hot in the cup, so being that it's a little bit more meticulous with the design, you still got to move a little quick, but not too quick, because it will just kind of maybe mix together too quickly if it's not getting goopy enough. So once you run through, you can kind of see all this stuff on that half is already mixed together. I have very little exposed wood left. So it pretty much does its work for me as far as its main base coat. And now what I'll do is come through and run that wave through it. So adding the whites, taking my multiple blues and kind of running along with that as well. Do a little more here. Now here's where I was going to do my bridge, so we'll see how that turns out. I think it still could work. All right, blue. Always mix it again before I go to use it, because it does just kind of starts to do its own thing sometimes. Feel lucky that I have power. As lately in Oregon, it got a pretty good snowstorm, not like a lot of you in the Midwest by all means. Of course, everybody here is a bunch of babies, so as soon as it starts to snow at all, everything shuts down, but we also run our equipment differently and what we put on the roads and blah, blah, blah. So nonetheless, a lot of people are without power. They don't know when they're getting power back. It's just, it would be bad. That'd be horrible. You lose your food, your pets are freaking out. Like if you have fish or you have things that are dependent on, you know, that power, it's just scary. Would not be fun. And I put way too much on this side, so watch me do this. Ooh. Just get on that side a little bit. We did get quite a bit of ice, but we did not lose our power. Thank goodness. Don't have anything besides ourselves that are dependent. And our refrigerator, but it's always an inconvenience. It's getting to the point where everyone should probably have some kind of generator, though. Why not? Between the rainstorms, windstorms, you name it, storms, we just should be careful and have our backup. All right. Sand time for this side. And I know I don't have enough, so I better go over here real quick. Get some more. Now with my other elements, I'm just literally setting it on top of the wet resin, so I don't need to be mixing it in. It will just rest itself on there and work out perfectly. It's the same way that I will put my crystals on the boxes as well. Okay, it's pretty thick, but let's do it. Actually, might be too thick, yeah. All right, let me just want to stir my white, make sure it doesn't settle too much, because that's not good. You gotta pay attention to the cups that are just resting there waiting for you to use them, because this stuff gets to the point where it's gonna be so hot, I won't be able to do anything else with it, and it'll literally just be the whole cup stuck, which is no fun. All right. Of course, some of it's taken off, so you just never know what you're going to get with those designs. So be patient, and that's why sometimes less is more, too. I get so concentrated, a lot of times I find myself obviously not talking. My apologies. And I'm just getting used to that part of this. You know, sharing this part used to be in person for me with just doing in-person workshops. And now I'm recording everything, so it's a little different. I'm sure I'll get better with time. That's what I keep telling myself. I'm going to keep practicing and, you know, watch other artists and not copy them, but learn, you know, what people like to see. Okay, so sand is done. A little more here. Now I'm going to come through. Actually, I need to wipe my hands off. Hang on. These cups get pretty dirty towards the end. Alright, I'm going to come through and mix some color. So I'm just kind of doing almost like a wave mark, not quite a circle, but lifting it ever so slightly just to get that line. I'm going to run up the same color mix here with the one stick and then come through and start kind of mixing those up even more. Then before I add my driftwood and stuff, I'll torch it. I'll torch all the bubbles out. See, I already I should have waited for that part, but I'm getting eager. Okay, that's good. Let's go to this side. Alright. Now keep in mind I'm still going to come through with the white. This is just getting that undertones done. I want to mix the white in, but I don't want to be mixed so much that when I go to move it, it's not going to look good. It'll be, you know, like I said, almost like a storm, too busy, so to speak. And I just need such a little amount of it too, so that also is why. Okay. Now I'm adding my wave white. Okay. So just kind of mixing up some of these blues here real quick before I add it on this side. And the quicker you go, the finer the line. I'm still trying to keep in mind that my shape of the wood and how I'd like to have that design go. Okay. So I have these tools here. This came from the dollar store, it's a 3-piece set. And I like to take this piece right here and kind of just smudge it a little bit. Sometimes you can use like a little straw and blow on that detail to get the wave look. But I personally am just gonna try kind of just going back and forth and seeing if that makes that cells just enough. So I still have a lot of other details to add here too. And it should separate on its own as well while it's settling. And you can still go through and be mixing those wave colors. Like this side, I haven't put any dark blues in, but I just wanted to highlight it very lightly with that, the wave. So each side I wanted it to indicate something different. I do still need to make sure that my edges have continued to stay covered. There's a couple spots I can see that have not gotten covered, so I'm going to fix that real quick. So here in a minute I'm going to torch them and start adding the driftwood and the other elements. Each one will obviously be different, which will be cool, because those end results will really give the details to the piece of wood, the sand, everything. To bump everything around me. My studio is large, yet my space is always overgrown from where I'm at. I don't get it. So with the ocean design, I know a lot of different people can put it on different textures of stuff. I've seen them on surfboards and skateboards and all those cool designs. So really, if you wanted to make a you know, a design like this on anything. It's so possible. You just really have to be creative and try. It's not going to hurt you to try. And like me with my, because I do the geode art as well, and I added LED lights to my work, and oh my gosh, I'm like, this is so cool. My crystals glow, no way. And so you better believe I'm running with that one. I love it. I love the design, the look, everything, and I just couldn't believe that it was so easy to just try and come up with some weird idea that nobody'd done, and like, yeah, let's try it. Better believe I was happy I tried that. Still am. Hopefully my next piece actually that I'll be taping will be another one. I put it off to do these, so I really wanted to show my beach design and stuff. Getting pretty sticky. Pretty sticky. Perfect. My camera just quit. So my phone's still recording. Damn it. I wonder if I can only fit so much. All right. All right, time for torch.